So the last organic derivative that we need to talk about is esters. And in order to understand about esters and how to name them, we need to go through a chemical reaction called an esterification. So esterification just means that it's a chemical reaction that is the process of making esters. And so you can see my template right here. All an esterification is a reaction between an alcohol and a carboxylic acid. I get those two things to react, I'm going to produce an ester and water. And that's the same for every esterification reaction that I do. Now, what type of alcohol it is and what type of carboxylic acid it is in terms of like which one is it going to be. In this case, it's propanoic acid and ethanol, but it could be another one like methanol or butanol or ethanoic acid or some other kind of carboxylic acid. All it's got to be is an alcohol and a carboxylic acid. If it's different ones, then it's going to obviously make a different type of ester or different ester here. All esters really are compounds that we can synthesize in the lab that have a smell to them. Okay, and esters can be made naturally as well, but any sort of aromas like things used in perfume, or if you've ever made homemade chocolates at home and you've used almond extract or something like that to make your chocolates smell and taste like almond, all those things are made out of are esters. And so we can make these esters in the lab and then sell them, and people use them in their cooking and stuff like that. So how does an esterification reaction really work? Well, we take this ethanol and we react it with propanoic acid. And what happens is there's a condensation that occurs, or a dehydration if you want to talk about it in those terms. Essentially what's happening is water is coming off. Now, you can see here that the OH of the carboxyl group in the carboxylic acid comes off to combine with just the H from the hydroxyl group of the alcohol. And the way that I remember that is, if you look at this, you can see that this alcohol still has one oxygen attached to it, and this carboxylic acid still has one oxygen attached to it. Sometimes when kids want to take the water off in this reaction, they'll actually take it off in this chunk right here, which leaves this oxygen and this oxygen on that molecule, and sometimes messes with their thinking in terms of what the molecule ends up being and stuff like that. So it's important for you to understand that this oxygen here stays on and this oxygen here stays on. This is the oxygen that comes off. It's kind of got an extra one to give, so it gives it off. This OH and this H combine to make the water molecule over here. And then what happens is these two ends connect up together to form what's called the ester linkage. And you can see that over here as well. This carbon and this oxygen have come together to form the ester linkage. Now the ester linkage is this COO, and it always occurs in the middle of the molecule. And that's it, that's my ester. So anytime that you're trying to identify esters, you're always looking for this COO functional group in the middle of the compound. Now, the way that we name this is we need to know the name of the alcohol that was being used and the name of the carboxylic acid that was being used to make the name of the ester that is being made. And so the alcohol that was used here was ethanol. So in the name of the ester, we changed that to be an alkyl branch of the same type. So if this is ethanol, this is going to be ethyl. And the name of the carboxylic acid, propanoic acid in this case, is going to be the parent chain name for the ester. We drop the oic acid from the name here, and we add an O8 to the end of the name to signify that this is now an ester, not a carboxylic acid anymore. And so the final name of this molecule right here is ethyl propanoate, to show, if you take a look here, that this portion of the ester right here comes from the ethanol that was used to make it, and this portion of the molecule right here comes from the carboxylic acid that was propanoic acid. And so I've tried to color coordinate that for you so that you can see how that is being made. Now here's another example, this time not color coordinated, because in your practice you're going to have to be able to identify these without the colors and the help of the color coordination. And so let's take a look at this one. This one right here, you can see, just like in any chemical reaction, I don't have to always write the alcohol first and then the carboxylic acid second. Sometimes you'll see chemical reactions where they'll write the carboxylic acid first and the alcohol second, and that's fine. But if that's the way that it is, you have to be careful in how you would name this, making sure that the name of the alcohol goes first and the name of the carboxylic acid portion of the molecule comes second or last. And so this is ethanoic acid, this is my carboxylic acid, and this is my alcohol, methanol. Now, when this combines, again, remember that I'm going to take the OH from the carboxylic acid and just the H from the alcohol. That's going to form my water, and that comes off over here as one of my products. And then these two guys link up in the middle like that. And so you can see again, here's my ester linkage, that's COO in there. It's always a C double bonded to one O and single bonded to another O. And then I need to name this. This is an ester, so what's the name of this ester? Well, the alcohol that was being used comes first in the name. So this was my alcohol, methanol, so this is going to be turned to methyl in the name, methyl. This was my carboxylic acid name, ethanoic acid, and so this changes to ethanoate. And you can see I've written that there as well. This portion comes from the alcohol, this portion comes from the carboxylic acid. This ester is called methyl ethanoate. And that's how I name esters. And that's how I can predict the products of an esterification. So you can see how they kind of go hand in hand together. One key thing that you need to know about esters is that they end in O8 and they contain a COO group that's in the middle of that compound. Okay, that's not going to be found on the ends. If you're finding that they're on the ends, then you've done something wrong or the question's done something wrong. And you need to ask a question for it to clarify to make sure that things are being done correctly. And that's it. Thanks for watching.